Спасибо.
Thank you, delegation. This is, of course, not a question, but nevertheless, an idea. As a member of the committee, I have to respond. And within the Asia-Pacific region, there is some experience in studying non-written languages. For example, there is a language in Egypt which is different from Arabic, and this was written down, and it's very interesting. But as a chair, my opportunities to respond and make comments and ask questions are restricted, but nevertheless, I believe that it would be that it's interesting, and I also listened to the responses of the delegation, and in a multi-ethnic countries, well, languages are always a very big problem, and if there is will, it can be addressed, such as with the Nubian language. And as you understand, in Russia we have an awful lot of ethnic groups, and we also can counter this problem, sometimes successfully, sometimes not, but of course we are making progress. Thank you. Chairman continues in French. Please, Mr Gouttes.
Oui, merci, Monsieur le Président.
Yes, thank you, Mr Chair. I would like to thank the Minister of Justice, the Ambassador, and all of the delegations for the efforts that they have undertaken to respond to all of our questions. Many of these questions were deeply interesting to us. I'm particularly thinking about what you were saying about the presence of ethnic groups in the state structures, so the social responsibility, corporate social responsibility, which you spoke about before. The policy of education, the promotion of education and training in rural and ethnic zones, which you spoke about, and rural development projects, so a great deal of interesting information there. As regards the rest, at this stage I would simply like to ask the delegation whether or not they have any information on 3 other questions which were not really covered up till now. The first question is that of the level of unemployment in the country. The World Bank requested figures in 2007 on this subject, and it seems that unemployment is high amongst young people, and in particular amongst young people from rural populations and ethnic populations, so the most isolated groups. Do you have any information on these subjects? We'd be very interested in hearing about this from you. Second question is that of the ongoing problem in trafficking in people and the sex trade in young women, who, according to the information that we have, are moved from Laos to Thailand in particular. And it seems that these young girls who are victims of this trade are generally, and especially, young girls from rural regions, the most poor and isolated regions. We know that the government is undertaking to counteract this human trafficking, and perhaps you will be able to tell us more about this, particularly as regards these young women from rural and ethnic regions who are most frequently victims. And I think that there is an agreement which was concluded in 2005 between the government of Laos and the government of Thailand, which is on this issue, but perhaps you can confirm this to us. Finally, a third question is a question which we ask many states, many countries, and it is about the efforts that the government is undertaking so as to counteract corruption and corrupt practices, which unfortunately are still reported in a great number of other countries, unfortunately. So if the delegation has the time, extra supplementary information on these points would be of great interest to us. Thank you, Mr Chair.
Merci, Mr de Gouttes.
Thank you, Mr de Gouttes. And now I give the floor to the delegation. Mr. Chair. On the first question, I think that the figures will have to be checked and we will communicate them to you later, and our permanent mission here will convey these figures to you. As regards the second question, the second question is a very sensitive issue, very painful one, and unfortunately it is increasing, given that, as you know, Laos is a landlocked country which is in a kind of sandwich between its 5 neighbours, and all of these neighbours are of similar sizes apart from China, which, as you know, with its growth and democratization and so on, is changing. The freedom of movement of populations in the region makes it one of the most dynamic regions in the world. It has a very high level of economic growth, as our level of economic growth is also very high too. That is why there is a growing growth in the movement of people, day on day in our region. Unfortunately, it's not only positive things which come out of this. Human trafficking is a problem, trafficking in women and children, and this is a scourge that all states in the region have to confront, and they must work together to find a solution. To my knowledge, no country is spared this. But what but countries are affected to a different degree. But so as to address this transnational, regional problem, we must work in groups. And within ASEAN, we have a committee which is responsible for dealing with the problem of human trafficking and trafficking in children and women and human organs. This committee works across all the 10 member countries of the ASEAN so as to find responses to be able to deal with this transnational and regional problem. We also have another mechanism coming from this which is working actively. In English it is called the Greater Mekong Sub-Region, GSM. Why? Well, because we are trying to draw China into this mechanism. Because countries in ASEAN and also the countries in the former Indo-China region believe that we cannot deal with this without China and to stop this movement. So we are committed to working with China as well, and that is why we have this GMS mechanism, Greater Mekong Sub-Region, to involve China to find a comprehensive solution to this. And each country is attempting to deal with this specific problem. As I said before, the fact that there is democratization of the countries, the opening up of all the countries in the region with greater freedom of population movement, there is a huge boom, especially with the growing economies in the region. People move around. Thai, Lao and Vietnamese people are moving around in all meanings of the word, because they have the right and the freedom to move around. This is progress, despite the negative impact that can come from this. But Mr. Rapporteur, I would like to assure you that on the whole, this movement is beneficial and has a positive impact, but unfortunately there are negative aspects which we, the states in the region, must deal with together. We must find solutions. We must work on transnational and joint measures so as to be able to combat this trafficking. Up to now, we have worked with a great number of countries. We have the Lao-Thai Agreement on Human Trafficking, for example, and we have already signed a treaty on repatriation of victims of trafficking. In Thailand, we're also working with shelters, provisional shelters, who assist these victims in finding a livelihood, a job. And this is because the repatriation time is quite long. Why? Well, from the time you manage to smash a network and free these women, these children, these girls, one is obliged to ensure that they remain in Thailand while the case is going through the courts, and this can sometimes take years or months. And so that these women and children can achieve compensation, and so that we have the means to take apart these networks. We have a great deal to do. We have these agreements, but we hope to achieve results here. I cannot say that we can stop all of this, but I would like to show you that there is various regional mechanisms to work and fight against this scourge. Thank you very much, sir. And I believe that the head of delegation is going to respond to your third question. Thank you.
Thank you very much for 3 questions covering many issues for the corruptions. One, corruption is the top agenda of not only for the Lao PDR but also for the world. For the Lao PDR, we put on efforts to solve the issue of corruption. We have adopted the new law on the corruption and the law on the inspection. 2 laws, 2 legislation involving in the anti-corruption. To implement this law, we have set up the anti-corruption committee. We also have another pillars. The anti-corruption is under the National Assembly. The National Assembly have the duty to investigate the corruption. Together with the implementation of the law, we also have the dissemination about the corruption in our society, encourage the people to watch the corruption, to file the complaint about the corruption, to report to the committees for the corruption. If is it found from the investigation, if is it found that the penal code will be applied in this case. Together with the corruption, we have the participation from the mass organization like the Lao Women Union, Lao Youth, and others, and other civil society to take part in the process of anti-corruption. If is it found that no matter if is it the leader or is it a small officer have been suspected about the corruption, we will conduct the investigation. These are the measure that we are now undertaking. Together with that, we also have we required the official to declare about their property. This is another way to check how the officers can cope with, to prove where they have the property in the legitimate way or not. We also there are many cases prosecute on the corruption under the penal code. We also there are many cases in the past that the court have rendered a decision, and those accused person is now exercise their sentences in the jail, or they are dismissed from the position. This is a practice that we are now doing. This is a very important agenda of the government. We're trying to put our own effort to solve the problem of the anti-corruption. We reconfirm and continue to anti the corruption. The National Assembly also put their effort as the highest organs in Lao PDR to monitor, to watch, to monitor the big project or mega project, whether it is comply with the law, whether it is comply with the policy. If it is found that there is abuse of the power by the officials or the corruption, the National Assembly asked the government to take action for those officials. Thank you.